I was at DEA yesterday, and they said to me, you, Donald Trump, have taken the handcuffs off of DEA agents. And as a result of, since you have been in office, President Trump, your DOJ agencies have seized more than 22 million fentanyl pills, 3,400 kilos of fentanyl since you've been here last 100 days, which saved, are you ready for this, media, 258 million lives.
Vance doesn't look like he's buying it. 258 million. What even is that? Oh man. What a oh Lord. 258 million. Before we break down that fear-fueled bullshit that Pam Bondi and her kind peddle in order to try and justify their authoritarian crusade, and why that sort of desperate propaganda is actually a good sign for those of us fighting the drug war, let's take a moment to appreciate just how absurd that number actually is. In the first 100 days of this presidential term, 258 million lives were saved. And let's be accurate, because details are important. She did not say this amount of substance X could achieve the result of Y. She said this.
Which saved, are you ready for this, media? 258 million lives.
We saved that many lives. They may try to dial that back in the future and say, no, that's not what we really meant. But there are morons out there that they are pandering to that are going to actually believe that. Their useful idiots will repeat it over and over again. And the whole drug-using population of the United States doesn't even come close to that number, legal and illegal. We don't even have that many people that drink alcohol. Let's pump the brakes for a second here. Nobody is saying that drugs are good for you. At least, I'm not saying that drugs are good for you. I think for the most part, drugs are bad for you. Most drugs, at least. Most of the time. Whether they're legal or illegal or recreational or pharmaceutical, it doesn't matter. I don't think you should take drugs most of the time. I think sugar is one of the worst things you can abuse. I think it's one of the things that you put in your body that is the most dangerous, especially over time. I think when you go down to the supermarket, you can skip the entire cereal aisle while you're at it. But that's not for me to say. The point is that if mom goes into the cereal aisle and buys a box of sugar flakes and puts it in the back of her car, that she doesn't get caught with it and go to jail for 10 years and have her children taken away from her and have her family destroyed and have her children's lives compromised terribly because she didn't do anything to anybody. That's the point. That's the main theme to keep in focus throughout all of this. Now let's get back to that colossal figure and see how it stacks up to some of the darkest chapters in human history. In order to get to that number, in order to get to 258 million deaths, you'd have to combine all of the casualties from World War I, World War II, the AIDS pandemic, the entire death toll from Genghis Khan's conquest of half the known world, and the 2/3 of the European population that were eradicated during the bubonic plague. And even all that still doesn't quite get you there. Now those are conservative estimates, and since the rhinos don't even seem to understand what the word conservative means anymore, we'll put a little refresher right here. The Oxford English Dictionary, conservative, adjective, characterized by moderation or caution, avoiding exaggeration. I'm well aware that's not the definition of the term conservative in respect to politics. There's no need to comment on it. So why are they pushing this garbage, and why is that somehow a good thing? Well, in a way, it's the same answer. For years, marijuana was the main villain. It's led to more arrests than all the other drugs combined. All built on a story that's not much of an upgrade from reefer madness.
Bring me some reefers.
Your children are going to smoke weed, go completely insane, and start committing all sorts of horrific crimes. Murder, assault, robbery, maybe even try to overthrow the government.
Send that message with clarity that good people don't smoke marijuana.
Such a f***ing embarrassment. Over the last 25 years, as legalization slowly spread, people started to realize just how overblown the whole thing really was. All those lies we treated as common knowledge were fabricated, sold to us as the science. And now that marijuana is on its way to being legal in all 50 states, the system needs something new. Something they can pour the money into and pretend it's helping. Ending the drug war doesn't just kill the funding. Their greatest fear is that it kills careers. Nobody wants to lose their budget or their job, so somehow the machine has to keep running. They need a new monster to fight. And they've shifted focus before, from heroin to coke to crack to meth, and so on and so forth. The only problem is, unlike marijuana and other drugs that are out there in their unadulterated form, fentanyl actually is dangerous. Extremely dangerous. Unless it's being handled by an anesthesiologist or diluted into a medical grade patch, this is not something that anyone in the general population should be messing with. And its big brother, carfentanil, which is 100 times the strength of fentanyl, also shows up in the black market drug supply. That was developed to sedate massive animals like elephants and whales. Human beings have no business introducing that into their body at any potency level for any reason ever. The drug warriors think they've finally found their magic weapon, a way to reboot their failed program for another 50 years. All by using the most powerful tool known to man: fear. This time, they've built a narrative where they've literally weaponized drugs. They've got their WMD of the drug war. Remember what happened last time we thought the enemy had those? It's almost like they're trying to treat fentanyl like it's this new designer chemical weapon, and the same immigrants that took your jobs are gonna hop the southern border and spray it on your children like it's super anthrax cyanide, wiping out huge swaths of the population. Like 258 million. It's absurd when you think about it. We can't even keep drugs out of our prisons, the most locked down places in the country. If all of the security from a facility like that can't stop drugs from getting in, do you really think what's equivalent to a chain link fence is going to be able to stop this from getting across a 2,500-mile border? What about the ocean, the air, the boats, the planes? Let's not forget about our largest port of entry in Los Angeles. Only about 1% of what goes through there gets inspected. As well-intentioned as some of the people may be that still support this program, we are not stopping anything. Any pragmatist that's really examined the data already knows that. The justification for the few who still support the drug war is predicated on a single belief: that it works. That all the money and all the manpower and all the ruined lives and all the destroyed families are all worth it because it's stopping something, somehow, somewhere. And the more the facts and public opinion mount against them, the more obsessively they seek a miraculous form of validation.
258 million lives.
If the cartels want it here, it gets here. They are smarter, they are faster, they are richer, they are more adaptable, and they have a lot more soldiers to sacrifice. Legal weed is on track to bringing in over $30 billion in revenue this year. And that's just one drug legal in about half the states. Imagine what the cartels were bringing in when they were the ones setting the price. Meanwhile, we're spending $50 billion a year trying to stop them. And all we have to show for it is these pathetic participation trophies. These are not accomplishments. These little photo ops amount to nothing. It's like taking a tiny bucket of seawater out of the ocean. It's an operating loss built right into the cartel's business model. They don't care. They probably laugh at these silly, insignificant celebrations. At best, we serve as their marketing department. So what is the solution to the fentanyl problem? And it is a real problem because it's incredibly small, incredibly strong, and it's lethal in micrograms, not necessarily milligrams. Just a few grains could kill someone. That visual from earlier, if that amount of kosher salt that you see there were actually fentanyl, it would kill 3 grown men. If it were carfentanil, it could literally kill hundreds. And there are all sorts of synthetics out there circulating the black market or diverted from the legal medical supply. All extremely potent, all potentially deadly in vanishingly small amounts. That makes them easy to smuggle, easy to mix, and almost impossible to eyeball. The public needs to understand 2 critical things about fentanyl. The first is, fentanyl isn't new. The panic is. Fentanyl's been used in hospitals since the 1960s. It's been in the street supply, especially heroin that we know of, for at least 20 years. It was showing up frequently in fatal overdoses in the early 2000s. Even pop culture cop shows were aware of it in the early 90s.
His name is Smoker. They call it Parkinsonism. It resembles the symptoms of advanced Parkinson's disease. He can't move, he can't talk. They found a vial of fentanyl in his pocket.
Just like the guy in the car?
Yeah, but with a few subtle differences, as if this guy's still trying to perfect his product.
It's a new campaign. The truth is, they've had the fentanyl crisis card sitting on the sideline since the turn of the century. The ultimate backup plan for when the reefer madness era finally fell apart. And now that marijuana lost its fear factor, they figure it's the perfect time to play it. Bondi herself even said it.
Our delight here.
Hey, General Sessions, I saw you yesterday, Pam Bondi. The one thing that I
couldn't
know...
see, Pam, the light's in my eyes.
That light is crazy, I know, thank you. The one thing, General, that I can tell you, I know I can speak for all 56 of us on, is this war on drugs. And thank you for talking about that. Thank you for your commitment to that. And as you know, it's not the old drugs, the cocaine, it's the new heroin in a pill form. It's fentanyl, it's carfentanil. It's the things they're mixing together and putting in Xanax pills and Adderall pills. And we're fighting a new war.
But this isn't a new war. And you certainly didn't win the last one with heavy law enforcement. It was won the same way the war on alcohol was won, with legalization. This is the same failed war with a new poster child. The second thing the public needs to be made aware of is that nobody seeks fentanyl. This is a crucial part of understanding the situation. People don't want fentanyl. They want relief or pleasure or peace. They're looking for morphine or heroin or opium. And some people are suffering from substance use and they're trying to stop the pain of withdrawal, or they're afraid of it. They want comfort, not a blackout. Nobody goes to their dealer and asks for a synthetic opioid 50 to 100 times the strength of heroin. That's like asking for moonshine made of radiator fluid during Prohibition. Nobody wanted poison. They wanted beer. But Prohibition took away the beer and left the poison. Same thing is true now. The safe options are gone. Only the lethal ones remain. The first thing we can try is bringing back the beer. Opium, morphine, laudanum, they all used to be legal, and they weren't the crisis. They were sold over the counter in tonics. Some were even marketed for sleep and cough. Some mild forms are even used on babies. I'm not condoning that, just trying to point out how normalized it used to be with not the consequences that we're seeing now. If you really want to see fewer overdoses, give them something mild, natural, and measurable. A regulated supply of something where they actually know what the ingredients are and how much of it they're getting. Start there. See what happens. The second thing is federal legalization of overdose prevention centers. They've been shown to reduce overdose deaths to nearly zero in almost every country where they operate. That's not a theory. We have actual data to support that. That's not numbers the government spins like 258 million lives saved. The truth is, we already know how to save lives. We're just choosing not to. None of these solutions, legal access to safer alternatives or overdose prevention centers, will gain any traction unless the vast majority of the population demands them. And that's the step we're on right now. Mass education and raising awareness. Until voters understand the roots of the crisis and the failures of Prohibition, we'll keep pouring billions into the same broken system and calling it progress. Prohibition is a crime against the people. Prohibition is a crime against the most disenfranchised.